All right, here's the 5.3 homework. In this assignment, it's kind of like the 5.2 homework, except the questions that you're asked don't just concern sine and cosine. They can concern any of the 6 trig functions. So this first one here, I think this should go pretty straightforward for you. They're giving you both the x and y coordinate of a point on your unit circle, and that corresponds with the given angle. And then they want to know sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Couple comments here. If you know both the x and the y coordinate, you kind of get all of these for free. So it should just be typing in answers that should go really quick for you. And they even wrote these in the order that I wrote them in the videos. So hopefully that'll make this pretty easy for you. The next couple, we get into the drawing questions. You saw this in the previous homework assignment, except instead of tangent of theta being equal to square root of 3, it was like, I don't know, sine of theta equals root 3 over 2. When they tell you sine or cosine, it's a little bit easier to locate the 2 points on your unit circle that correspond with those values. With tangent, it's a little bit harder, but if you have your unit circle memorized for the tangent values, or if you know how to interpret tangent in terms of the slope, maybe you can find a couple different points on your unit circle that have a tangent equal to the square root of 3. 3 is the same idea. You're going to locate a couple different points, but now it's that have secant equal to negative 2 root 3 over 3. And you're like, whoa, I don't remember that value at all off my unit circle. That's true, but secant is related to cosine. This is the reciprocal of cosine. So maybe from this information, you could figure out the cosine of theta. And if you simplify that just right, I think what you'll see is that's one of the memorized values off your unit circle. So I think you'll be able to locate the 2 points that correspond. And then the next few, questions 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all kind of the same in that they give you some angle on your unit circle and you have to figure out some trig functions. For 4, it's sine, cosine, tangent, and secant that they ask for whatever reason. Not all 6 of them, but just those 4. And then in the next ones, 5, 6, and 7, it's secant, cosecant, tangent, and cotangent. So don't let the fact that they're asking for different things throw you off. What I'd probably recommend you do is fill out all 6 of them, kind of doing the charts the way I taught you in the video, and then just pull out whichever ones they're asking you for and type those in. If you're wondering why this shows up 4 times, in the first one, the angle written in radians has a denominator of 3. In the second one, it should have a denominator of 6. In the third one, a denominator of 4. And in the fourth one, a denominator of 4, but this should not be a point on your unit circle. It's just coterminal with the point on your unit circle. So you have to do that little trick. By the end of question 7, if you're like, wow, this is really tedious and I feel like you're wasting my time, I guess that's good. If you're not there, I'd be concerned. If you're still learning stuff after doing 7, that's a little bit problematic. They should be, okay, I get the point already. I have my unit circle memorized fairly well. I can find these angles really easily. And once I can find the angles, since I know the x and y coordinates, I can fill out all these different trig functions. The last type of questions are what you see in 8, 9, 10, and 11. And these are the ones where we're referring to an angle that's not one of the 16 memorized points off your unit circle. But that's okay. As long as they give us one of the trig functions, we can fill out any of the remaining trig functions. In this one, they tell us sine of theta. So maybe that either tells you the x or the y coordinate. You could figure that out. And since we know what quadrant we're in and we know the equation of the unit circle, we can fill out the rest of these. It's worth pointing out that the order they're written in is in the same order I wrote them in. Right? We went sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotangent. So don't let the fact that these two are written kind of opposite of how I wrote them throw you off. Make sure you're putting the right things in the right boxes. Same idea on question 9, except instead of asking for all the trig functions, you just need one, the cotangent. That's kind of nice, I guess. They're giving you sine of alpha here is this, and then instead of telling you what quadrant it's in, they tell you it's not in the second quadrant, which is a weird way to give you the information that you need. But if you know it's not in the second quadrant, I think you can figure out what quadrant it's in. And once you know what quadrant it's in, I think that you could figure out any of the trig functions, namely cotangent. 10 and 11 are a lot like 8 and 9 in that they give you the value of the trig function for some angle, and that angle does not correspond with one of the 16 memorized values off your unit circle, and they give you enough information to figure out which quadrant you're in. What's different about 10 and 11 is instead of giving you sine or cosine, they give you tangent. And maybe you remember from the videos that when they give you tangent, it's a little bit more challenging because this doesn't explicitly tell you x or y. It gives you the ratio of y to x. But maybe you can set up 2 equations, solve one of them, substitute, and then solve the other one, and that will help you figure out x and y. And once you have x and y, you can fill in whatever it asks for. Sine, cosine, secant, fine. 11, I think, will actually be a little bit easier than 10. I put it as the extra credit one, though, because it looks a little different. What you're used to is getting one of the trig functions and then being told the quadrant. And here they give you 2 different trig functions. They kind of give you more information than you even need, but they don't tell you the quadrant. But I think from these 2 pieces of information, we can figure out the quadrant and we can figure out what the cosecant of this angle alpha is equal to. So I think you'll find 11 a little bit easier once you get it, but since it looks different, I made it the extra credit one, and that's this homework.